So a lot of people are asking today, what is Cern? In 1989, a man by the name of Tim Berners-Lee launched a project to create what we now know as the World Wide Web. In 1993, the World Wide Web was announced that it would be free to everyone, and this, in fact, was a Cern project. It's interesting to note that the sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet is W, thus actually making the World Wide Web the equivalent of 666. Now, before you roll your eyes and say we're reading into things, let's take a look at the modern Cern logo, which also clearly outlines 666. While Cern is responsible for many scientific breakthroughs, we're going to jump ahead to their more sensational project, known as the Large Hadron Collider. The construction of the project began in 2008, and the LHC is actually the largest machine created by man. The machine hurls protons and ions at each other approaching the speed of light, thus causing them to collide. To record the results. The goal is to determine how the universe started and what it consists of. Understanding more about our universe through scientific experimentation may seem harmless, but to understand the nefarious goals of this organization, we need to dig a little bit deeper. The LHC is located in a small town in France known as Saint-Genès-Poli. In Roman times, the town's name was Apollicum. The town and temple were dedicated to the god Apollyon. Interestingly enough, Apollyon is also mentioned in Scripture. One of the passages can be found in Revelation 9:11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in Greek the tongue hath his name Apollyon. In front of Cern can also be found the statue symbolizing Shiva, the god of destruction. So you may say to yourself, the Christian community is overreacting and reading too deep into these meanings and symbols. What does the scientific community say about it? Stephen Hawking stated, the God particle found by Cern could destroy the universe. The Higgs boson could become unstable at very high energy levels and have potential to trigger a catastrophic vacuum decay which will cause space and time to collapse, and we would not have any warning to the dangers. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson said that the experiment could literally cause the planet to explode. Ask yourself, how much energy is keeping it together? Then you put more than that amount of energy into the object. Tyson was confident of the result. It will explode. In 2008, when Cern was first firing up, a German professor at the University of Tübingen filed a lawsuit against Cern with the European Court of Human Rights on the grounds that the facility could trigger a mini black hole that could get out of control and annihilate the planet. The court tossed out the request, but he nevertheless succeeded and generated a heated discussion on the possible dark side of this experiment. Sergio Bertolucci, former director for research and scientific computing of the facility, grabbed headlines when he told a British tabloid the super collider could open otherworldly doors to another dimension for a very tiny lapse of time, mere fractions of a second, however that it may be just enough time to peer into this open door, either by getting something out or sending something into it. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses, prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots, of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. So you have a corporation whose symbol has 666 in it, and they have the god of Shiva in front of their headquarters, and they're building a device 300 feet underneath the surface of the earth in a region that was originally dedicated to the god Apollyon, and they're trying to open a portal to another universe. If you have any other trouble trying to figure out what's going on here, wake up. Realize the time we're living in. You cannot put all these pieces of the puzzle together and say they're coincidence. You are seeing the end times open up before you.
But when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then said he unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines, and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you, and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues, and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober. When shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world?
We had the opportunity to meet with Secretary of the Air Force Deborah Lee James, and I start by asking her what is her greatest concern when it comes to national security.
I think the number one threat is Russia. Russia is one of the handful of companies that could actually present an existential threat to the United States. Of course, they have nuclear weapons. They have been acting in very aggressive manners in recent years, and they're also investing and they're testing military capabilities.
Breaking news in the fight against ISIS. We want to get right to CBS News Foreign Affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan in Washington with the latest. Margaret, what can you tell us?
Well, Josh, the U.S. has begun airstrikes in Libya around the town of Cern. That is on the central coastline. It is an ISIS stronghold there, and the U.S. has been very concerned about a fast-growing ISIS group that has really taken a hold there. In the past 6 weeks, we have seen the Libyan military make a real push into that area to try to flush ISIS fighters out of there. They've been making progress, U.S. officials say, but it just wasn't enough to finish ISIS off.
There are rising tensions between North and South Korea. The South slamming new sanctions on North Korea over its recent nuclear test and rocket launch.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And ye shall hear of wars, and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass.
Let's get right to the new developments in the massacre of those 5 police officers in Dallas, an act of madness that has injected a whole new level of anger and fear into America's already fraught debate over race and law enforcement.
The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
After 5 years of delays, a national education law will finally be implemented in California. It includes teaching history of the LGBT rights movement as early as 2nd grade. Eyewitness News reporter Matt Boone joins us now with a closer look at why it's stirring up some controversy. Matt?
Rochelle, this stems from what was called the Fair Education Act, which passed in 2011. And after 2 failed attempts to overturn it and some budget issues, today the State Board of Education voted unanimously for its adoption.
But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed.
A father saying tonight he does not want it at his daughter's school. The topic, an after-school Satan club.
Yeah, a group in Tucson wants to open up that club at a public elementary school. And we sent ABC 15's John Erickson to Tucson for this story tonight.
And John, the Satanists are saying they're only asking for fairness.
A health alert is out for a deadly meningitis outbreak. It's hit L.A. and Orange counties. The virus is sweeping the gay and bisexual community. CBS 2's Serene Branson explains the urgency for vaccinations.
And there shall be famines and pestilences.
Thanks for joining us. The Minnesota Department of Health released a report today with what it calls disturbing findings.
It reveals sexually transmitted diseases have reached an all-time high in Minnesota. The state logged just short of 26,000 cases in 2015. That's up a third from 5 years ago. The majority of cases involve people between 15 and 24 years old.
the devastating effects of El Niño, the lack of rain accompanied by heat waves. This is the worst drought to hit South Africa since 1982. Millions are facing water shortages.
All these are the beginning of sorrows. For when they shall say, Peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
Peace and security in a world without nuclear weapons. That's what the U.S. President Barack Obama is to reaffirm through his visit to the city of Hiroshima in Japan on the 27th of this month.
We believe that nations and peoples have the right to live in security and peace.
In recognizing remarkable leaders and the work that they do on behalf of women, peace, and security around the world.
As well as responding to threats to international peace and security, must be shared among all states and exercised multilaterally through the United Nations.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another.
The man whose last name literally means money in the United States often suggests to his 30,000 parishioners the more they give, the more God will deliver financial blessings to them.
Which is basically the Christian gospel turned on its head, turned upside down. And it's to honor Creflo Dollar and not so much about honoring God.
Despite his critics, Dollar's popularity and wealth have continued to grow, and all that revenue is tax exempt, with little or no way to know how much he has or how he spends it.
For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors.